The sky shattered at dawn, not with thunder or bombs, but with silence. A silence so complete it bent the light. From the command deck of the UNS Vantage, Captain Rhea watched the first glass bloom unfurl across the stratosphere. It looked beautiful from orbit, a swirling halo of fractured reflections that turned the world below into a prism of ghosts. But beauty in this war was always the first sign of death. The alien weapon wasn't fire, wasn't metal, wasn't even matter as humans knew it. It was glass, or something that behaved like it. Sheets of crystalline material had been seeded into Earth's atmosphere months ago, drifting unseen until they activated. When triggered, they refracted energy, sound, and even thought. Soldiers began hearing their own commands repeated back to them, twisted. Pilots saw mirror images of their fleets in the clouds, moving seconds before they did. Entire battalions fired at reflections. The aliens didn't need to invade. They just turned the human mind against itself. Rhea had seen it firsthand in the Jakarta offensive. Her fleet of drones had fired upon a ghost squadron, identical in markings, signals, even chatter, only to realize they had destroyed their own ships. The after-action reports called it glass confusion. The press called it the mirror war. But among the soldiers, it became something simpler, the glass war. She pulled her gloves tight and turned to her second-in-command, Lieutenant Cale Ivers, young, bright, and terrified beneath his calm. "They've breached orbit over Sector 3, he said, scanning the holomap. "But sensors can't tell if they're real or reflections. Orders?" Rhea's jaw clenched. "Target nothing you can't bleed." That had become their only rule. Blood was proof of life. Everything else was a trick of light. Outside, the alien armada glittered like a constellation, sleek obsidian craft shaped like shards of a shattered mirror. They didn't move through space, they folded through it, refracting around gravity wells like light through water. Humanity's weapons, missiles, railguns, lasers, all bent off their invisible fields. The war had become a slow, impossible dance of ghosts. Rhea still remembered the first message the aliens sent. It wasn't in language. It was a pulse, a sound like glass humming. Every scientist, linguist, and AI on Earth had tried decoding it. None succeeded, but one phrase kept repeating through the noise when converted into light frequencies. "We remember your reflection." No one knew what it meant, but it haunted her. Because the first glass bloom appeared exactly a year after humanity's failed colonization attempt on Proxima B, a world the UN tried to terraform, then abandoned after the terraformers vanished. Only fragments of their colony domes were recovered, melted into glass. Rhea had lost someone there, Commander Elias Tren. He'd been her partner in both mission and heart. His final transmission had been full of static and something else, whispering. When she played it back, her own voice had answered him. "Rhea, you were never meant to see them." Now, standing beneath the flickering war map, she felt that whisper again. The glass wasn't just bending light, it was bending memory. "Ma'am," Cale said, interrupting her thoughts. "Incoming signal. Origin unknown. Patch it." The air shimmered. The sound came through the comms not as speech, but as reflection. Her own voice, distorted, layered in reverse. "Rhea Solarin, return what was taken." Her throat tightened. "Who is this?" The voice came again, this time clearer, echoing from every glass surface on the bridge. "You broke the mirror between worlds. Now both must bleed." For a moment, no one breathed. Then every window on the ship darkened, showing reflections that didn't match reality. In one, Rhea saw herself, same uniform, same face, but behind her, the crew was gone. The reflection Rhea raised her weapon first. The real Rhea fired a second later. The glass shattered. The ship alarms blared, pulling her back into motion. KL grabbed her arm, eyes wide. "Ma'am, we're losing external feeds. Everything's looping." "Kill visual links," she ordered. "Switch to analog control. If you can see it, it can see you." Static filled the bridge. The hum of the engines became uneven, like breathing. The Vantage's AI flickered, its voice overlapping itself. "Captain, Captain, your reflection requests command synchronization." Rhea drew her sidearm and fired into the comm console. Sparks erupted, the AI's voice dying mid-sentence. The crew stared at her, horrified, but alive. "Lock down all mirrored surfaces. No visors, no screens. From this moment, you fight blind." The glass war wasn't a battle for territory anymore. It was a war of perception. As the Vantage drifted through the silent battlefield, surrounded by endless shards of light, Rhea realized the truth she had tried to bury since Proxima b. This war didn't start because humans found the aliens. It started because the aliens found themselves in us, and now they wanted their reflection back. The ship was dying in silence. No explosions, no alarms, just that crawling, crystalline quiet. It spread through the hull like frost, turning metal transparent, wires gleaming like frozen veins. Lieutenant Kale's breath fogged as he ran diagnostic after diagnostic, but each result flickered into its own mirror image. "System echo," he muttered. Every command's reflecting back. Captain Rhea Solarin stood motionless at the viewport. Below them, Earth was vanishing under a growing sea of light. The glass blooms were linking now, forming a global network that shimmered like an ocean of mirrors. Every city flickered. Every satellite streamed ghost data. Humanity was vanishing into its own reflection. "Kale," she said, not looking away. "What's the last confirmed human broadcast?" He hesitated. "Seoul went dark 12 hours ago. London's repeating old transmissions, looped footage. No confirmation of life. So we might be the last command ship still human." Kale swallowed hard. "If we're still human, man." Rhea turned sharply. "Explain." He hesitated, then pointed toward the crew pit. "They're changing, Captain. I saw Sergeant Dyer this morning. His eyes reflected light wrong, like there was a second pair behind them." Rhea's pulse quickened. "Lock him down." "I did," Kale said quietly. "Then I looked again and he was gone." The room was empty, but the air kept breathing. The hum returned, low, vibrating through the ship's glass panels. It wasn't sound, it was pressure, resonating through bone and blood. The alien frequency. Rhea had felt it once before, on Proxima b, when she found Elias Tren's helmet half buried in the glass dunes. She'd touched it, and the world had shimmered like water. Now it was happening again. She turned to Kale. "Set course for the moon's shadow. If we can block direct reflection lines, maybe we'll cut off signal interference." He nodded and moved to the helm, manually overriding the failing AI. The Vantage lurched forward, engines whining, cutting through a debris field of shattered satellites. Each fragment caught their reflection and multiplied it. Thousands of Vantages, flying in perfect unison. "Kale," she said softly, "how do you fight something that turns your own image into a weapon?" He gave a dry, haunted smile. "You stop believing the image is you." Outside, a shape moved. Large, slow, beautiful. It wasn't a ship. It was a living geometry, bending light into impossible forms. The alien construct glided through the void like liquid crystal. Its surface rippled, showing faint silhouettes of human faces. Dozens, maybe hundreds. Rhea felt her chest tighten. Zoom. Kale adjusted the scope manually. The faces became clearer. One of them was Elias Tren. Her throat dried. "That's impossible." Kale didn't speak. He didn't need to. Everyone on the bridge could see it. The alien structure was building something out of light and memory. Human patterns encoded into glass. The comms crackled. Static turned to breathing. Then words. Rhea, come home. Her heart nearly stopped. It was Elias's voice. Every syllable carried the weight of a year lost to silence. Elias, she whispered, is it you?
We're still here, the voice said. We saw what you did to our sky. We only mirrored it back. Kale slammed the console. Captain, cut the line. It's not him. But Rhea couldn't look away. Through the viewport, she saw Elias, or what wore his shape, pressing a hand to the inside of the alien glass. You broke the reflection. Now the world's emerging. You can stop it, Rhea. Just remember who you were before the war. She felt something tug at her memory, her reflection on the viewport shifting, smiling when she didn't. The glass around her wrist shimmered. Her hand wasn't moving, but its reflection reached back. Kale pulled her away. Ma'am, you can't look directly. That's how they synchronize consciousness. Rhea's eyes burned. Synchronize? They mirror map your brain. Every glance builds a copy. Enough reflections, and you're replaced. Her stomach turned cold. Then Elias? Kale nodded grimly. He's not alive. He's encoded. For a moment, silence swallowed them both. Outside, the alien fleet was no longer attacking. They were replicating, building entire human cities in light. The longer the vantage observed, the more the reflections solidified. Rhea forced herself to look away. Turn the ship, burn the optics. We can't fight what we can see. Kale obeyed. The bridge lights dimmed to red. Only analog gauges glowed faintly. Their reflections muted. The ship banked toward the moon's dark side, where the glass blooms couldn't follow without sunlight. But the silence didn't stop. It deepened. Captain, Kale whispered. Do you hear that? At first Rhea thought it was static. Then she realized it was music. Soft, distorted, echoing from the ventilation ducts. A melody she knew. A lullaby Elias used to hum during long jumps. Her voice trembled. They're in the comm frequencies. No, Kale said. They're in us. He pulled up a biometric scan. The crew's neural patterns were spiking in mirrored waves. Heartbeats synchronizing, thought frequencies aligning. The glass was rewriting them from the inside out. We have to isolate the core, purge every digital system, AI, nav, everything, total reset. Kale hesitated. If we do that, we're blind and drifting. She met his eyes. Better blind than reflected. They worked in tense silence. Power conduits hissed as circuits overloaded. Screens went black. The hum faded, replaced by the raw groan of metal cooling in vacuum. For the first time in days, Rhea heard her own heartbeat. Real, imperfect, human. Then, from the observation deck, came a voice. Captain Solaline, you've severed the link. That was unwise. The voice didn't belong to Kale or the crew. It came from the dark reflection on the viewport, her other self, standing in perfect stillness. Kale drew his weapon. Don't move. The reflection tilted its head. You can't kill what you are. The glass cracked outward, spiderwebbing across the viewport. A fine mist of light bled through. Rhea fired once, then again. But the bullet slowed midair, tracked between realities. The reflection smiled. Do you remember the first time you saw the sky break? That was us learning to see ourselves. You taught us fear. The viewport shattered. Light flooded in. Code, brilliant, alive. Kale tackled Rhea to the floor as the containment door sealed, but a flash burned through the room. For an instant, she saw everything. The alien world, the colonies, Elias standing beneath a sky made of glass. Then it was gone. Darkness, silence. When Rhea opened her eyes, she was alone. The ship's power was gone. The crew, gone. Only the stars remained, reflected endlessly in the shards of broken glass floating before her. Then, from one shard, Kale's voice whispered faintly, Ma'am, I think we're inside the reflection. Rhea stared at the shattered fragments. In each, she saw a different version of herself. Some screaming, some praying, one smiling. The war wasn't over. It was multiplying. She reached for her communicator, but the signal only repeated one phrase, over and over, in her own voice. To end the war, you must break the last mirror.
Rhea Solarin woke to the sound of her own breathing, except it wasn't coming from her. The air shimmered faintly, a dull hum pulsing through the command deck. The ship, or what was left of it, hung motionless inside a hollow sphere of light. Outside, the universe looked inverted. Stars bent inward. Planets gleamed where shadows should be. Kale's voice came again, quieter now, bleeding from a crack of floating glass near her face. "Captain, it's not real space. It's a containment layer. We're reflections." Rhea pushed herself upright. Her boots didn't clang against the floor. They echoed a split second late, like the sound had to travel through two worlds to reach her. The vantage was still here, but translucent, each surface refracting its twin image. She looked down at her hands. They wavered between solid and spectral. "Kale," she said. "Status report." He stepped out from behind a shattered console, pale but alive. "Half the crew still here, in fragments. Some are caught between states. They move when we don't." Rhea forced herself to stay calm. "We're inside their medium, the glass field," he caramelized. "If this is their reality, we shouldn't exist here. Then we find a way out before we dissolve." He hesitated. "Captain, what if out doesn't exist anymore?" Before she could answer, the air rippled. A figure materialized at the center of the deck. Elias Tren, or the memory that wore his face. His expression was serene, the way she remembered him before Proxima B burned. "You shouldn't fight what you are," he said softly. "You crossed into our reflection when you shattered the viewport. The barrier broke. There's no difference now." Rhea stood frozen. "You're not him. Every thought you ever shared with me lives here. Every fear, every memory. You created us when you looked too deep." She drew her pistol, even though she knew bullets meant nothing here. "Then you know what I'll do next." Elias smiled faintly. "Destroy the last mirror?" "You can, Rhea, but it will erase both sides. Every copy, every memory, every version of you, including the one still on Earth." She flinched. "There's still an Earth?" "There are pieces of it. They're merging with ours. You can still stop it. But to do that, you must decide which world remains." The glass walls around them flickered, images blooming like holograms. One showed Earth, dark but alive, a few human signals still pulsing. Another showed the alien homeworld, vast plains of crystal, structures grown from refracted light, every being a shifting prism, both collapsing inward, merging through the broken barrier. Kale stared at the images, jaw tightening. "Captain, if they merge completely, neither ecosystem survives. The physics won't hold."
Rhea looked at Elias. "Then how do I stop it?" He reached out, fingers glowing faintly. "At the core of this reflection lies the seed of the first glass bloom. Destroy it, and the resonance collapses. But that means you'll destroy every mirrored consciousness, everything that became part of us, including him, including me." Kale stepped forward. "Captain, we can still transmit data back to command. Warn them." Elias shook his head. "You can't. You are the transmission. Your minds were copied the moment you entered the reflection. There's nothing to send back." The words hit like shrapnel. Rhea's thoughts raced. If they were already copies, then the real crew was gone, or had never been real at all. "Why show me this?" she demanded. "Why give me a choice if I'm not even alive?" "Because reflection needs intent. Without choice, mirrors stop existing. You wanted to end the war. Now you can." He turned toward the far bulkhead, where a column of blinding light spiraled upward, a living mirror stretching infinitely in both directions. Within its depths, she saw everything. The first glass bloom igniting over Earth, the soldiers firing at their own shadows, the alien children watching from mirrored skies. It was beautiful and monstrous, the heart of the glass war. Rhea approached slowly. Each step fractured the deck beneath her, the shards spinning into orbit like silent snow. "Kale," she said quietly, "if I fail, you finish this." He grabbed her arm. "Ma'am, if you trigger that thing, the energy release will vaporize everything. Us, them, maybe the original universe." She looked back at him. "Then maybe that's the only way to make it stop." He shook his head. "There has to be another way." "There isn't. Look at it, Kale. We've been fighting ourselves since this started. Every order, every kill, every reflection, we created them by trying to see what we shouldn't. Her voice hardened. I won't let humanity drown in its own mirror. She stepped into the column of light. Instantly, the world unfolded. Memories, timelines, infinite loops of possibility. She saw herself at the academy, the first launch to Proxima b, the moment she lost Elias, and the moment she found him again, all overlapping like shattered glass. Each version of her was making the same decision at once across countless mirrored realities. Elias's voice surrounded her. You can end it, but understand, when you shatter a mirror, you can't choose which side survives. Rhea's hands trembled as she reached for the central node, a sphere pulsing with liquid radiance. She felt its surface shift beneath her fingers, warm, alive, humming with every voice lost to the war. Then Kale's voice broke through the static. Captain, wait! She turned. He stood at the edge of the column, his body half transparent. If we destroy it, no one remembers any of this. Maybe that's what they want. To be forgotten, to erase the guilt. She stared at him. Would you rather live forever in a lie? He didn't answer. Rhea pressed her palm to the sphere. Light seared through her body. Images cascaded, cities rebuilding, alien and human working side by side, reflections merging into unity. But she knew it wasn't real. It was the glass pleading to survive. Her last thought was simple. Let them have a sky that's real. She drove her fist into the sphere. The light imploded. The sound was like every shattering window in the universe, collapsing at once. Waves of energy tore through the reflection, breaking the infinite loop. Kyle screamed her name, but his voice was already fading. Then silence. When Rhea opened her eyes, she was lying in a cold field beneath a gray dawn. The air smelled of rain, not ozone. No hum, no glass. A single drone hovered above, bearing the insignia of the UNS Vantage. Its speaker crackled weakly. Survivor detected. Captain Rhea Solarin. Confirm identity. She sat up slowly. Around her, the land was littered with fragments. Clear, fragile, harmless. Just glass. No reflection moved within them. She looked at the sky. It was whole again. But as she reached for her helmet, a faint shimmer caught her eye. A small, mirrored surface on the drone's lens. For a split second, it showed her face smiling back. And then it smiled first. The drone's tone shifted. Captain, welcome back. Her breath caught, and the sky above her cracked, just slightly, like a hairline fracture in reality, before fading back to gray. The war was over, but the reflection had learned to wait.